Do you trust artificial intelligence? We did create it after all. I'm Tonya Hall for ZDNet and Tech Republic, and joining me is Natalie Monbiot. She is the head of futures at Starcom. Welcome, Natalie.
Hello, Tonya. Delighted to be on your show today.
So what does Starcom do, and what do you do within your role at Starcom?
So Starcom is a media planning and buying agency representing many large global brands, one of which is Samsung. And I'm actually most closely aligned with Samsung. And my role as head of futures is to explore new territories for growth for the brand in the US. And what that means is I end up looking at kind of new white spaces and new technologies such as blockchain, 5G, AI, and come up with a perspective on how any of those technologies can actually be utilized to help drive the Samsung business forward.
You're an advocate for the importance of trust in artificial intelligence. But before we get into that, you use the term augmented human intelligence. Explain that term.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. People sometimes debate what the A in AI represents. It's obviously supposed to be artificial, but I think to talk about augmented intelligence speaks to the point of what AI is invented for in the first place, which is really to help humans, be more productive, augment their capabilities beyond themselves. So I think it's a more useful term in talking about and sort of implying the use and application of AI.
What is the state of our trust in artificial intelligence today? I mean, we have created AI after all.
Yeah, what I find kind of fascinating the more I think about this subject is we are the inventors of AI. And if you look at the stats, lots of people, it's actually the majority of business leaders, I think it's 60+% of business leaders believe AI will completely disrupt how what we know about society today. Even more than that, nearly 70% of those same people actually believe that AI will erode the trust that they have built with stakeholders. So it's sort of almost like we're lemmings. We're kind of created this thing which we know is indispensable, that we won't be able to do without, but at the same time are really kind of shooting ourselves in the foot because we believe that this thing that has so much promise is actually going to destroy so much of the trust that we've built up with business partners, to the point that it's actually going to erode that trust, which we know correlates directly with business impact. So what I find kind of quite extraordinary about this is the fact that we are the inventors of AI, and therefore we have the opportunity, and I think now we really do have the opportunity to course correct and make sure that we're building an AI that we can trust, that we can get along with, and that will ultimately serve us.
So how do we ensure that AI stays subservient? I mean, what must we do or watch out for?
So I think, first of all, we need to remember that AI is a tool, and that human beings are the ultimate decision makers. So I think, what are the things that humans need help with? We need help with data gathering, data crunching, and being presented with the best possible options for the human to actually choose from. I think remembering who's in charge at the end of the day and who's going to pull the trigger on a decision, and that always being the human being, I think that will help us stay on course.
Explain what you mean by swarm AI. How do you compile the underlying data set?
Yeah, so Swarm AI is the invention of a very interesting startup called Unanimous AI. And this is kind of the ultimate human-centric AI in the sense of it truly celebrates human intelligence. So as with bees that get together and sort of together in a swarm make a decision, the idea is to apply that sort of technology, I guess you could call it, to humans who are independently intelligent enough to make decisions on their own. But what if you could augment human intelligence by swarming their intelligence so that you can actually get the best out of human beings' communal or swarmed intelligence to be able to make the best possible decisions and to predict outcomes in the most accurate possible way. So that is the promise of swarm AI.
Marketers are beginning to use AI to create emotional appeals in their messaging and advertising. What are the ethics behind using AI to trigger emotional responses to messaging?
The ethics behind, well, so I think if we think about the fact that AI is invented by humans, it should be well intentioned. So having and creating an AI that is ethical, that is sympathetic and empathetic with all humans, therefore developing an AI to start with, which is representative of the diversity of human beings, will then enable an AI that can relate to people and is useful to more people.
How can we do that? I mean, can we really teach robots, I mean, artificial intelligence, empathy and emotion?
Um, I think that, well, going back to kind of the point that I was just making, I think we can teach AI many things. We can teach AI everything. We are the inputters of the AI. We are the creators of those algorithms. So the AI will embody the values of human beings. Now, when it comes to can we teach robots emotional response? Yeah, the proof is yes, that we can. So yeah, MIT Media Lab has pioneered effective computing, which is essentially taught robots or taught machines how to recognize and interpret emotion. First of all, and this is a number of years back, startup Affectiva, who I've been close to for a number of years, they basically have taught they've taught computers to be able to interpret the data points on a person's face and basically convert or interpret those data points into various emotions. So essentially, they've taught computers how to feel, how to detect emotions. And this is now extended to being able to detect emotion in voice as well.
What suggestions do you have for business leaders looking to embrace ethical artificial intelligence in their digital transformation?
I think that we're headed towards a space where, as artificial intelligence starts to infiltrate more contexts, we really need to have third-party organizations moderating and regulating the way that the data itself is handled. So, for example, AI in the workplace, that is not somewhere, the workplace isn't somewhere that organizations and employers are used to handling huge amounts of sensitive employee data. And unlike with Facebook, which, yes, it has your social data, which can, and as we've seen, be kind of manipulated to really kind of sway the way and influence the way people behave. In the workplace, that data is even more sensitive, and you know, the potential of abuse of that data is more risky. So having third parties come in and regulate the way that data is handled, I think will be critical. So to answer your question, I think it really is about wrapping some rules around it and adding in some regulation.
Natalie Monbiot, Head of Futures at Starcom, thanks for shedding some light on what we need to focus on when it comes to artificial intelligence, ethics, and how we implement those artificial intelligence processes in the future. If somebody wants to connect with you, maybe they want to find out more about your work, how should they do that?
You can find me at NatLikeThat on Twitter.
All right. And if you guys want to find me and more of my interviews, you can do that right here on ZDNet or Tech Republic, or go to my website, tonyahall.net. I've got links to all my social sites. Thanks for watching.